God,
Oh man.
that dude is amazing.
It's only a matter of time till that movie becomes till that book
They've
becomes.
really been trying, but
That's
Yeah,
it.
hopefully it falls into the right hands, and
it's
it'll be
supposed to be with the people who did The Road because they did the Proposition, right?
okay.
So it's
Yeah, there
supposed-
was some crossover involvement there with Nick Cave and Guy Pearce
yeah,
were a couple. Uh,
yeah.
What?
Apparently that's where it's at right now. So
But the road is in the Border trilogy.
no,
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 That's
not
weird because like the road, like it ends at a border, right? I mean,
Yeah,
like
but
if you think about it,
McCarthy, I don't know. I don't really know all that much about the man himself, but I think he's from and around the Southwest, right?
he's from Tennessee, Knoxville, I think.
Okay.
Well, he was
So,
born in Rhode Island, from what I read, and then he had moved to his parents at a young age. They moved to Tennessee.
okay. Well, yeah, that sort of explains all the pretty horses, actually, in a weird way. But yeah, like the border is all down by Texas, and the border states down there by Mexico. They all take place down there.
he lives in New Mexico now too, I think, and has for a long time.
Nice.
Tom, what do you take? So, aside from your hatred of cowboys, what else? Anything else sticking out at you with all the pretty horses? Or
No, just like it just seemed boxed. Like I felt boxed in and closed in like the whole time watching
Yeah.
this movie, and I don't think that that's the way I was supposed to feel.
yeah,
you know,
It felt like
You
a
know,
ride.
er-
It felt like a ride. It was like,
You know, and I'm like,
Get on
because
the
if you
roller
look,
coaster. Okay,
if you look at the other two, and I'm only going by these three movies. At the other two movies, like the landscapes and the like just every scene, it's like it's lyrical, it's musical, and the Coens get it, and John Hillcoat gets it, and it just amazes me that Billy Bob Thornton, who's a Southerner, doesn't know how to translate this book into film, Joe.
Yeah, man, I know what Dave's saying about like not wanting to see another hour of this mess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just weird that when you said that, it was like it made a lot of sense to me. Like it seems like maybe this was a victim of Monday afternoon quarterbacking, where the studio may have come in and been like, dude, you can't put out a 3-hour film.
I hear you, but I hear you. That dude, the dude who directed the Deer Hunter, the
Cimino.
Michael Cimino, he did a film after Deer Hunter that people hated. It was called Heaven's Gate, and
Gate.
I think it was due to the fact that the studio really cut this movie down to like a 2-hour picture, and I think, and I could be wrong here, but if my memory serves me correct, like 15, 20 years later, this 3.5-hour director's cut comes out, and people have like a whole new take
I really like that
on
movie.
on the
I don't know
film, and
which cut I saw.
and now
It was
it's like
fun.
considered like in some circles, not all, but in some circles, like a fucking American masterpiece, Heaven's Gate. And so Dave says, well, I don't want to sit through another hour and 20 minutes of this film, but I'm really curious if
Yeah, I would definitely check it out just out of curiosity.
just,
You know what I mean?
out of fairness. And I like Billy Bob Thornton. I love Sling Blade. This is the thing. It's like he made Sling Blade, and I think he does this right after.
think
I
so,
like
too.
him because he was hitting Angelina at the right time.
Uh,
He had the right Angelina. It's awesome.
But you know what I'm saying, Joe?
You want to be hitting that shit during the knives and the blood and the fucking making out with her brother at the Oscars. That's when you be hitting that shit.
That's her. What was the movie she was in with Winona Ryder? She was a little loony. She was incredibly sexy in that movie.
oh gosh, yeah.
You don't want her in the
Is that the
Adopt a Baby.
is that the Clint Eastwood movie?
No.
No.
She's in the. You know what I'm talking about, Adam?
yeah,
Right?
the period piece, A Girl Interrupted.
That's.
Who's crazy, Jolie or Ryder in the movie?
They were both.
They were both. They're in a mental asylum for women.
Angelina Jolie plays she plays a young woman with borderline personality disorder, and she does it very well, by the way.
Like Livia Soprano?
Yeah, exactly, exactly right, exactly.
That's
But Tom, I actually it's not like I get a thing for cowboys, but I like the Western. I am a fan of Westerns. And
So you're gay for cowboys?
I'm kind of hot for cowboys.
Okay.
And
All right.
no, the Western genre is one that I like. It's definitely in my mind a go-to genre, like we were talking about earlier. It's kind of, it has its ebb and flow and its popularity, but it's never gone away. It's never been anywhere.
Now, are you
Except
more
it's a
into
staple.
the John Ford classical Western, or do you like
Not
the the
necessarily.
Sergio Leone stuff? What?
All that stuff's fun. I like a lot of what Clint Eastwood has done over the years. I love High Plains Drifter is a great one. It's just
That's
because
great.
that one is like it's surreal. It's just so strange. Unforgiven, I thought is just a great movie.
See,
Uh,
I could never appreciate Unforgiven, guys.
I love it.
Love
Yeah,
Everyone loves it. I cannot get through it. I
well, because you
can't.
don't like cowboys.
Tom, you need like rock and roll in your westerns,
Don't
Young Guns.
start reducing me, Joe.
Do you like?
Come on.
You like
Just goofing around, Tom. Take it easy.
tell me, Tom. You
I-
must have liked Blazing Saddles. Come on.
I love.
That's a
Yes, I
great
love
one.
Blazing Saddles.
All
But I
right.
think Young Guns might be the only Western I own, Joe.
Well, I remember being into Tombstone with you a long time
Tombstone. We
ago.
talked about that too. Yeah, Tombstone. But that's all pop. That's pop stuff.
I
You know.
know. I know.
I mean,
I
you
know.
guys. I mean, Joe. I know you have this extreme appreciation for John Ford that I just don't. I
Yeah.
can't have, and it annoys me that and I've tried. I've watched John Ford films, and I just. I can't get into John Wayne, and I can't.
Oh man, I watched The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance not too long ago. It's fucking amazing. You know what it is, man? Is like it's like you almost see the creation of the American myth, right in front of you when John Ford's doing his thing, and a couple of those other guys around that time were doing it as well. But The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, it's just myth making, and the American West is just such fertile ground for it. You're going into distant lands on a hero's journey. You know what I mean? And so like anything's possible. And what these guys were laying down in the 50s and 40s and 50s and 60s
Right.
with those films, like it just set the tone it's just remarkable that it just created a language. You know what I mean? Like it's just the creation of a language.
Yeah. Well, all that
You guys
nonsense
ever,
aside, Joe, Adam, Blazing Saddles is probably the best Western that I've ever seen.
that might be
Deadwood. You ever see Deadwood?
But I did watch the first season of Deadwood. I kind of got into that, and I didn't pick it up after the first season. But I remember
This
when
is
it.
actually my all-time favorite television series. If I had to pick, if I was forced to choose, I might have to say Deadwood. And
Deadwood, wow.
great. It's so gritty. It's so dark. But the thing that I love about it's David Milch, and he has a way of using dialogue where he
Right.
creates his own like cadence and language pattern. And I know that I didn't come up with this concept that in terms of like calling this sort of like a Shakespearean Western Deadwood, but there is a cadence and a rhythm
Okay.
to the dialogue that makes it very Shakespearean. And there are soliloquies and there are these just amazing moments. And it's just a great series. And that, if you, I would recommend that because even though it's technically a Western and they're cowboys, it's got a different angle on it. And you might.
No, I dug it. I dug it for, like I said, I watched the first season, and maybe I will go back and watch it, Adam. I could probably do that. But the reason why I was drawn to it is because I really dig Walter Hill. And Walter Hill, I think, was one of the executive producers on the show. He probably directed a couple episodes. But if you guys, I don't know if Joe and Dave, Dave probably is familiar with Walter Hill, but Joe might not be. Walter Hill did Southern Comfort and The Warriors, film 48 Hours, films like that. And I always liked his
Fucking awesome fucking movies.
yeah, really awesome movies. And Streets of Fire he did, Adam. I don't know if you ever saw Streets of Fire.
You're talking about Michael Paré and Diane.
Michael
Lane.
Paré and Diane Lane. Yeah, it's just that's a very surreal movie. And a movie that I truly love. Well, I might bring Walter Hill to the table one of these days, guys, without a doubt. We are talking All the Pretty Horses, directed by Billy Bob Thornton, based on a Cormac McCarthy novel. Guys, I want to start wrapping this segment up. Does anybody else want to throw anything out there for the listeners?
I just want to ask Adam if he feels like insecure and uncomfortable without his pal Max on board here. Is it are you like? Do you feel like you're missing your security
I feel
blanket or something?
very, very awkward. I'm not sure what to say or how to handle myself.
Now
No, Max
Like-
and I actually we live our separate lives. We just come together. We either we're coming together to work on something creative, or we're coming together to watch Jackass and ridiculousness and just drink and goof off.
See, I always just picture you guys as like Laurel and Hardy or Abbott and Costello. Like, no matter wherever you show up, like you guys have to be next to each other.
Well, if we are at the same place, we're usually next to each other.
So Adam
wise.
is Abbott, and Max would be Costello.
I think so.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
Adam is definitely the straight man.
Joe, how do
Yeah.
these guys? Let me ask you this, because you were out there in Los Angeles. You had the great opportunity to be on the Mimosa podcast. And guys, I want to let our listeners know that Max Cook will be here any second. But before we bring him in, Joe, how do they? I mean, what's it like, that dynamic between the two of them? I mean, is it intense?
Oh, it's
When
great,
you're
man.
sitting,
I mean,
yeah, because it's really
it's funny. It's just funny because when you well, we kind of talked about my visit to Max's on the intro to one of those Redux shows, my visit to Max's. But they're very much on air. They're very much like you hear them. Max is sort of this neurotic kind of self-effacing pile of jelly or whatever, and Adam's there to kind of like the foundation, the mooring of the pair, But it's a blast hanging out with those dudes, man. If I was out there, I'd be I'd definitely be up there a couple times a year,
guys.
We
Let's
had a
bring
good time. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a blast, man.
guys. Let's bring in Max Cook. What do you say?
Yo.
Bring him in.
Let's do it.
Gentlemen, good evening.
Uh-oh.
Princess Max, welcome to the show.
Princess Max.
Max, I had nothing to do with that, I swear.
Oh, God, I don't even want to hear the opening segment. How's it going?
Yeah, bullshit. You'll go back and listen to it. We were talking about you for the whole half hour.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
We didn't even get it. I mean, Joe, how many sentences did we get in?
We didn't talk about all the pretty horses at all.
None.
We talked about all the pretty Maxes.
That's right.
Adam, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, thanks, man. I meant to call you earlier today just to catch up before this, but that didn't happen.
Fine. I'm just worried about you.
Are you sick? You're
Why?
depressed? What's going on?
What's happening?
Oh, I pulled one of those things where I myself didn't go to the doctor for too long after injuring my leg, and I had cellulitis, so I had a blood infection, which was not fun. But since I've been to the doc, got all my shots, got some antibiotics, and things are all healing up nicely now.
It's getting better, right? I'll tell you,
Oh, absolutely. That was just me being a fool and thinking,
Right.
oh yeah, I banged myself pretty hard and scraped it up, but it'll be fine. And it got a pretty bad infection.
Adam, I'm the same way. I avoid the doctor like the plague.
The funny thing is, I
Sigh.
don't have a problem with going to the doc. I like my doctor. I have no problem going. But this was just one of those things, like me being a typical dude saying, it's a mild wound.
Yeah, man. I don't
I'll
need
take
no
care of myself. I'll sew it up myself, goddammit.
He would, too.
Like Anton Chigurh.
Yeah, basically, I'm pulling a cigar. I got my wife sitting there looking at me going, you got a bone coming out of your leg. And it's like, yeah. Just give me a T-shirt and a needle and thread, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, you just take a little trot down to Rite Aid pharmacy, and you blow up a car out front, and you take what you need.
Have what I need, seriously. No, I walked on a broken ankle for 5 years without knowing it was even broken.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I do that.
That's a real man.
Now, Max,
I know, fine.
Max, you get a checkup from the doctor. What? You go twice a week?
Are we doing the show now?
Yes.
He lives
Max
with,
is
he has
always
a doctor.
Max is always. Are we doing the show now? He always wants to know.
Why do you make me talk like this? Are we doing the show now? Why do you make me have to be such a fucking chick?
Well, because you don't come on unless you love the movie. I mean, you're like,
Chick
No.
move.
I don't like that
Yeah.
No,
movie.
no,
so
no, no.
not gonna
I'm no
come on.
Jenna Payne. I've had no time. I wasn't even supposed to do this show. But come on, you got the
Can we check Max's Facebook posts and see how much free time he's had? I haven't been on Facebook in a while.
Yeah, Saturday night his wife went out. He had like 8 hours to himself.
It was a good night.
I have no time.
That's not fair. That's masturbation time.
Oh, hi, Dave. Hey, listen, guys.
up,
Quick
dude?
business here. Hello. I think we need to change Dave's opening because it mentions Fangoria.
We're working on it. We're in the works on that, Max. We're getting.
Okay, and the other thing is, I changed everything for not everything, but I updated for the Halloween show.
Ooh, I am so looking forward to that, Max.
Yeah, but I changed it.
You changed the movies? I looked at those movies.
It's still west of Memphis.
But you changed the other two. The one you assigned me, I was excited about.
Well, we can always go back to it, but if you don't like the theme that I changed it to, we can change it back.
It'll be a surprise for all our listeners. Anyone listening right now, you keep you guessing.
Yes, yeah. You won't tell us what it is, right, Max? Right now?
What will the cutting room players do in the future?
Tune in next week to find out what Max has decided.
Exciting future events will happen in the future.
In the future.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Are we in? Are we going? Let's go.
In a world of wonders and marvels in the future.
Max, I wanted to take a couple minutes and say hello to you. It's been a while.
I'm sorry. I know, Tom. I missed you. How's your gout?
Great. It's never been better.
How's living with your dad?
It's been interesting, to say the least.
Oh God,
that sounds challenging. I can't spend more than like an afternoon with my dad before I start losing my mind.
It's just. I mean, it's just the circumstance. It's what I'm doing. Max, I did go to the doctor today.
You did?
Yeah, I got a local doctor, and I'm going to be seeing him regularly. I'm going to be getting checkups. I got some serious medication that I'm going to be taking and everything for the, to battle the gout, and hopefully we're going to whip this thing.
Is it narcotic medication, Tom?
But on a good note, and I said to Joe earlier off air, my blood pressure's fine.
Which that means borderline.
It's borderline, but he says that it's fine. He says it's normal.
Are you taking a multivitamin and fish oil?
No, but I'd be willing to do that.
It's not expensive to get a multivitamin. They're nothing.
Like a Theragram M, does that still exist?
I would recommend getting the gummy vites that you can just chew like little gummy treats.
Ooh,
I got your fish oil right here, buddy.
We know Dave's not on fish oil.
Now, I do use oil, Max, but not for what I think.
Oh, God.
I'm on fucking fish oil over here.
I'm going to slap some oil on my joint. Feels so fucking good. Dad, close the door. Trying to yank my joint here. Hey, son, I heard you ejaculating last night in the bed.
Oh my God,
Joe, have you met his dad?
No, I haven't. Does your dad let Carlos sleep over?
I'm not with the Carlos. Can we please put the Carlos thing to bed, please? I beg the both of you.
Mr. Tom, I was so excited to live with you, and then you come to me and you say, "No deal, Carlos. My papa move in for me instead." You'll break my heart.
Tom, you are the leader of the show. I don't know why you let it get this far.
I had everything. Adam, did I not have everything under control?
You actually had things under control, and then someone let Max in the room, and now things have just spiraled.
Wait a minute. Where the hell is Carlos going to live now, Tom?
I'm leaving outside the window looking up longingly at Tom. Wait for him.
You can fucking record my organ meat, buddy.
All right, listen. Enough about my health. Hold on. Enough about my health. Enough about my father. Enough about fucking Carlos. It's time to move on. It's back to Cormac McCarthy. All right, guys. And this time we're bringing in the Coen brothers, which is
thank God.
Which is something, Joseph, that is long overdue on this show.
That's true, man. How did we get this far without doing even really mentioning them
Not
at all?
ever talking about them. I mean,
Am I busting the Coen brothers cherry on
hell
this one?
yeah, you are, Dave. You are doing it. We got Max Cook. We got Max Cook here. We got the counselor here. We got Joe Christiana, and we got Dave Pace, and he's going to introduce the 2007 Best Picture winner, No Country for Old Men, directed by the Coen brothers, based on a Cormac McCarthy novel. Javier Bardem, Josh Brolin, Tommy Lee Jones. Let's do it. Dave, let's hear what you got, dude.
I am becoming an old man. Every day I feel new aches and pains. I see my hair slowly turning gray. As of right now, gray is about to overtake the black of my natural hair color. My wife sweetly tells me this looks dignified on a man. My memory isn't what it once was. I find myself searching more for thoughts, and this will probably only get worse as more time passes. Losing grip on my body is one thing, something I knew would happen one day and I understand as part of this whole deal. Losing the mind is more troubling. What is it I find myself most insecure about as I age, though? It's losing touch with the world around me, failing to maintain my understanding, and finding myself in a world I can't really account for any longer. Coming up in the world, your grip on it is loose as you find your way, and then you arrive at an age where you can finally say you have some kind of handle on it. And then not long after that day arrives, you find your fingers slipping ever so slowly until you are drifting out of touch again. Facing a world you no longer feel you know your place in, and a generation coming up you don't understand. I'm in the first stages of this now. Suddenly I have no idea who the hell everyone on the MTV Awards is. The faces on the tabloids and the checkout line are a complete mystery to me for the most part. I don't know what the kids are listening to anymore, and when I hear it, I mostly think it's garbage. I haven't thrown anyone off my lawn yet, but I don't own a lawn. Things are happening in the news, and I don't know what to think or believe anymore, because in these times, who the fuck knows? I came up being told not to trust anyone over 30, so what the hell do I do now that I'm 35? Watching your conception of the world slowly crumble before your eyes is scary. Look how reactionary our elder generations are to things that are just plain obvious or uncontroversial to us, like gay marriage. Watch how the generation who took every right and liberty and dollar for themselves coming up now digs in its arthritic claws and tries to keep the rest of us in the same kind of progress. Universal health care is a commie nightmare unless it's in the form of Medicare for seniors. The taxes that built a whole country are now evil machinations of an out-of-control government. The retirement funds that are a distant dream to most of my generation are protected with viciousness. Gay marriage? Nope. Gun control? Nope. Abortion? Nope. Women in power? Better fight that geriatric tooth and nail. Black man president? He must be a terrorist. This is all rooted in that fear. A fear you get from living in a world you no longer understand. We scoff now at the hateful selfishness of the olds. But one day, we will feel the icy grip of that fear crawling up our Bengay spines. And then what? How will we decide to fuck the next generation? This fear is what Sheriff Tom Bell is grappling with in this film. Is No Country about Llewellyn Moss, sometime welder, sometimes hunter-gatherer, stumbling upon a life-changing cache of money tied to a murderous drug gang? A little bit. Is it about Anton Sugar, the terrifying force of nature sent to recover the money? More so, maybe. You'd be mistaken, though, if you thought the story was about Moss being greedy or about the poor taking chances to raise their station in life. Moss is just the way we introduce Anton Sugar to Sheriff Bell. The money as a MacGuffin to set up the confrontation that never actually happens. In encountering a force like Sugar, Bell's worldview collapses. Here it is finally. The man is here to put Bell's world to slaughter, just like a steer. Quick bolt to the head, and Bell knows for sure he's met his match. He doesn't know what he's facing anymore, and doesn't know what the future will hold. The generations coming up all look hungry and dangerous. He turns away from the world and decides he's off to find shelter from the storm. When Bell tells us of the dream of his father riding out ahead in all the cold and darkness with a horn full of fire, it reflects our hope that someone out there who has gone ahead and prepared a safe place for us, frightened and bewildered. Someplace warm and light and full of faces we recognize. Someplace that looks like home. We live in a world where our elders will outnumber us by large margins, all of them in various stages of this fear, all of them looking for a fireside to settle beside and feel safe again. My advice? Best make a fire out there up ahead for them, instead of waiting to see which one they end up at. We might not like the results if it's everyone for themselves in the dark, cold canyons, and the price of comfort is the future itself. So yeah, fuck old people. Those greedy
That's what we
fucks.
walk away with. Fuck the elderly.
Oh my
Those
God.
greedy old fucks.
Dave, this time around, as opposed to All the Pretty Horses, the filmmakers have a stranglehold here on Cormac McCarthy.
It's a masterpiece.
This
This film is a masterpiece.
Yeah. And it's most of their works are near masterpieces. To me, this one, Fargo, are really the ones that are the two that are just absolutely fucking beyond brilliant. But I can't help but think about what you're saying about what the movie's about and how the Coen brothers, they kind of the whole thing with Sheriff Tom Bell and how, it's just like, it's so played low key, but it's what this movie's about. And yet it's just very soft and silent in the movie,
Yeah, it's not at all, it's not blatantly obvious, right? That the central conflict of the film is Sugar and Bell.
Absolutely.
But that's what it is. And they never see each other, never encounter each other, ever.
Right. It's
They get close in that motel room.
Yep.
Yeah.
When he goes into the motel room, which is brilliantly shot, man, and friggin' lit. Like, Deakins is obviously the Coen brothers recognizing Deakins of genius cinematographer, man.
Yeah.
That scene is beyond brilliant, right?
Every scene is, Joe. And
Yeah.
we were talking about how boxed in and closed in we were watching All the Pretty Horses, and this one is just the opposite. You feel every scene, everything that's shot, like you feel everything that's in the room or everything that's in that landscape, everything that's on the road, everything that's in a car, everything that's in an office, everything that's in a motel room. It's just, how do these guys pull this stuff off? That's my question. They are in American cinema are just beyond almost anything and anyone. It's killer.
You're right. Let's all go home.
You
Coen
know,
brothers are the best.
Coen Brothers are awesome.
Hell
They
yeah,
are,
Adam.
They are two of my 4 favorite living directors. Joe, when he was on Mimosa with me and Max, we talked about the Coen Brothers specifically a lot, actually,
Right.
because I love the Coen Brothers, and what I'm discovering as I get a little older and have more perspective on just life and specifically their films, and as I see the films again and again,
Mm-hmm.
I've absolutely seen an emerging theme that goes through really all of their movies. Now, there's a few in there I haven't seen in a while, but the main ones that like Fargo and Raising Arizona and certainly No Country for Old Men. It's that there's this theme where you have a character who makes a choice, a very distinct, definitive choice that goes slightly against their character, against what they would normally do, and that choice plants them into a position where they have sort of cast their fate and sort of sealed their fate as well. And so, like in No Country for Old Men, as soon as Moss, who we get the idea he's a welder, he's a hunter. We get also the idea maybe he's a petty criminal, maybe he's not a wholesome dude necessarily through and through. He makes a choice to go and bring the guy some water in the truck against his better judgment. As soon as he does that, he has sealed his fate, whether he knows it or not. And that cut what Joe and I were talking about on Mimosa when we were talking about The Man Who Wasn't There and oh my gosh, what was the other one we were talking about? It was The Man Who Wasn't There and Big Lebowski.
We were definitely talking about
Big
Lebowski.
Lebowski. Same thing. This concept of nihilism where it's just we're dust in the wind, and it all ends up with us being dead, basically.
Right.
And these characters always make that choice, and he made that choice. Llewellyn Moss makes that choice and seals his fate, and that's just just thematically. And there's a lot of parallels, if you ask me, with the characters and the plotting and the pacing of this movie as Raising Arizona. In many ways, you've got Leonard Smalls and Anton Segura are such similar characters. They do the same thing. They shoot innocent animals on the side of the road as they pass by.
Very true.
There's other similarities too that just jump out at me more and more as I watch them. But
and then even in Fargo, the Grimgene character, is just soulless and murderous, and he doesn't give any second thought. I mean, just that scene in Fargo. When Buscemi's character Carl Showalter's pulling the police officer, from the side of the road, and that car goes by. Just the way who's the actor? Stromae. Yeah, the way he calmly and coolly just puts the car into motion, and he's smoking that cigarette, and he flicks it calmly out the window, and he goes after those. That poor couple that gets murdered. It's there's that soul, like that calm soulless shit.
You're right, and it's just like Anton Segura. And what's interesting in both those characters, but definitely with Anton Segura, he has a code that he lives by, and he's the only character in that film, in No Country for Old Men, that has a code that he does not waver from, and all the other characters kind of waver on their code. They make decisions that are out of the scope of what they normally would do, except for him. He plays it by the book until I think there's a nice moment at the end where he's with Moss's wife, and she challenges his code. She doesn't play along with the coin toss, and his code, which is a black and white kind of code, it throws him off. I think it really throws him off. And then look what happens to his character. He is damaged as he's leaving.
He's not.
That's a great point.
He's not paying attention to.
He's broken. Yeah, because literally, physically, he's broken. You got a bone coming out of your arm, Mister. I mean, I think
Adam.
just
that's true.
Symbolic.
But wait. How does he not? I love that point. That's a great freaking point. But how does he not obey his own code in that scene? Because I thought he did.
Well, she doesn't.
He forces.
So I think just simply by her not calling the coin. Well,
she refuses.
She's probably dead, obviously, because when he walks out, he walks out of the house and he kind of like checks his shoes, to see if there's blood on them. So throughout the movie, he's constantly he doesn't like to get blood on him. You
Right.
know, like when he shoots the one guy in the shower, like he puts the curtain up, or when he puts his feet up after he killed Carson Wells, which is another great scene with Woody Harrelson.
Yes.
You know, that's a really great scene. But yeah, I think just simply by her not participating in that little game that
He even
he
says it. He doesn't understand. He basically he says to her, she said, "It's not up to the coin, it's up to you." And he said,
Right.
"But we both came here by chance. We're both here by chance.
Right.
It is up to the coin." And
The same thing that brought me to this. He says the same thing that brought the coin.
Yeah.
Tells the coin what to do is the same thing that brought me here.
Exactly.
Right.
It's both. He sees it as this is his code. It's black or white. You choose, and I either kill you or I don't. But yeah, he kills her, but the code was challenged.
But in all that stuff with the coin and you know how that determines someone's life in Shigar's mind, that scene with the desk clerk where he's like, he plainly says, he's like, you have to call it, I can't call it for you.
Right.
The guy wins the coin toss, which Shigar, I think that there's something about that I think he's more fascinated with the people who win. Like he has a sense of excitement, that the guy won the coin toss, which is really weird. And then the guy tries to put the quarter in his pocket, and he tells him, he's like, don't put the quarter in your pocket. That's your special quarter.
It saved your life.
And he goes, but if you put it in your pocket, it becomes just another quarter. And then he says, which it is, which is weird. It's like, I don't understand that.
Shigur understands the stakes, right? Shigur understands what the stakes are in that scene. The clerk does not.
And also
right?
The clerk, I think you're absolutely right. And I think the clerk in that scene does not have a code,
Obviously not.
He said, we're closing now.
Yeah.
Well, is this closing time? No, we close whenever.
Now is not a time.
Right, it's not.
Hey, can I just read a little passage from that scene where he's talking to that lady about the wife about the flipping the coin, because we're talking about McCarthy films here. I mean, we should.
Okay, sure.
I would love to just read.
Okay,
a small
but you have to
passage.
do
It's
it in your
exactly
best Javier Bardem.
I can't do that.
You're gonna have to.
Okay, all right. They're talking about the coin, or whether or not she's going to call the coin, and he says, I'm sorry. Yet, even though I could have told you how all of this would end, I thought it not too much to ask you that you have a final glimpse of hope in the world to lift your heart before the shroud drops, the darkness. Do you see? Oh God, she said. Oh God, I'm sorry. You looked at him. She looked at him a final time. You don't have to, she said. You don't. He shook his head. You're asking that I make myself vulnerable, and that I can never do. I have only one way to live. It doesn't allow for special cases. A coin toss, perhaps, in this case to small purpose. Most people don't believe that there can be such a person. You could see what a problem that must be for them. How to prevail over that which you refuse to acknowledge the existence of. Do you understand? When I came into your life was over. It had a beginning, a middle, and an end. This is the end. You can say that things could have turned out differently, that they could have been some other way, but what does that mean? They are not some other way. They are this way. You're asking that I second say this world. Do you see? Yes, she said, sobbing. I do. I truly do. Good, he said. That's good. Then he shot her. I mean, that's it. I mean, that kind of just like there's this thing
in
where
the book, it's clear that he shoots her.
Yeah,
but in the film, it's kind of left. You have to kind of dig at that. You have to dig a little bit to determine whether or not.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really one of the things that's at the heart of this is that all of these people are like playing out. It's almost like they're playing out the roles that destiny or God has put.
I was going to say, right.
Absolutely.
Like they're just obeying it, and things are the way they are, and certain people understand that, and certain people don't. And Dave's absolutely right that this book is about Belle, who fate has chosen as to play the good force of nature, and to look out over his flock, to be the sheriff and to look out over his people. And there's always that opposite of this guy, and one of the things that this evil fate has dictated that the accounting is scrupulous, you know, and he's sort of like collecting up the debts, you know, the Grim Reaper, you know.
You know,
It's really,
that's all well put, and I agree. And there's one character that Segur does not kill in the book that he encounter, or in the movie that he encounters when he goes into the mobile home park office. And
well,
there's
and
a woman in there.
and the clerk too, the store clerk.
Well, the clerk wins the toss, so
Right.
he actually was 50-50 chance, but he doesn't kill the woman that refuses to tell him where Moss works. And the reason I think that is because she lives by a code too, and she does not waver in her code.
Oh man, that's awesome.
That's so true.
Because
that's
she's
100% right.
and she's so strong. Like she's like he's baffled by her and her strength and her conviction. Like he is like that's so fucking great, Adam.
that's funny, but think of it another way. Maybe this is just the Coen brothers, but what if he was just about to kill her, and then right when he was about to kill her, someone flushes a toilet in the next room? It's almost like he's distracted, and then he just walks away.
He's distracted, and I think they almost take you down that road. Like, okay, there's a witness, but he would just kill that person too. I mean, this guy he's taking cars from people and he kills them, so he doesn't leave witness standing.
That's true.
But I think he, in a weird way, respected the fact that she lived by a strict code like himself and was unwavering and unflappable, and there was a sort of twisted little respect for that, and so he lets her live.
It's also been suggested before. It's also been suggested too that by the Carson Wells character that Shigar and Wells have been face to face before in the past.
Yeah,
which I don't know if. See, to me, Wells seems like the Wells character seems a bit phony to me. But I don't know if they had actually met face to face before,
Well, he's operating on mercenary directives or whatever. He actually says that somewhere in the film that he when talking about Shigar, he says he lives he lives by a principle that transcends drugs and money. Where that guy is just operating on a lower level.
But I'm just talking on the Shigar. Letting because Adam's right. I mean, it's obvious nobody, anybody that sees him is murdered. And that guy, when he kills Stephen Root too, it's not known whether or not the guy that's in that office with him too was murdered by Shigar. True. I mean, there's nothing that suggests that he was or wasn't. He kind of leaves
it neutral. It's kind of like, did you see me? Because the guy's like, are you going to shoot me? And he's like, well, did you see me?
Yeah.
And that's the question that he poses to him, right?
We're talking Cormac McCarthy. We're talking the Coen brothers. We're talking about Shigar and murder, which is awesome. Max, brother, how you doing?
I'm really enjoying this conversation.
It's pretty good.
I like listening to you guys.
So tell me about No Country for Old Men.
I mean, I don't even know where to begin. It's so funny. Every time, the cutting room, we assign movies to each other, whatever. And I could have seen the film 10 times. I've probably seen No Country, maybe 6 or 7 times. I got it. But, when you're watching it with a sort of, all right, I mean, who the fuck am I, again, to be critical? But if I'm watching it with sort of what can I bring to the show? How can I watch this with a critical eye? These films become, especially the ones you love, they become so much better. And listening to this conversation and the fact that Adam compared Leonard Smalls to Bardem, I mean, I feel like I have taken the Coen brothers for granted for so long. And what's so great about those fuckers is that if you've ever seen them interviewed, they sit there, they have this third eye knowing brother thing going on, and they just sit and giggle and talk about the most ridiculous things that have nothing to do with the big, deep, grand picture.
Right.
It's always about. I mean, they talked for 5 minutes about. Oh, come on, Gar from Mask. Who's our boy, Adam?
Sam Elliott.
Mustache. Yeah, so we were really excited because like we were really excited about Sam Elliott. Oh yeah, Sam Elliott came in. Yeah, yeah, we were just so excited because he's got this like mustache. Yeah, it was really funny because he has this mustache, bushy, like this bushy mustache. We thought, well, it'd be really good to like cast Sam Elliott because we thought it'd be good to cast him because the mustache goes over his lips. Yeah, it goes over his lips. So like it goes over his lips, and if he messes up any lines and we have to dub him later, you won't tell because it's just a moving mustache. I mean, it's mind-boggling that they are so otherworldly and they make so many. Even a Coen Brothers little movie that like kind of slips under the radar. I went and saw A Serious Man in theaters.
I love A Serious Man.
It.
It's brilliant.
Love it.
It's great. What am I doing? Why am I watching this film? Why am I watching this opening sequence with the Dybbuk, which was unbelievable? And
by the way, that's another movie that follows that same pattern of a guy that makes a choice, and it's a choice that goes against his nature, and he sets his fate in motion.
Adam is extremely obsessed with like the film noir motivations that like it's like the man whose fate falls upon, and then like he has like a small character flaw that he ends up trying to unravel throughout the rest. Like Adam is obsessed with it, and like on the Mimosa when I was over at Max's, I was like, I think that there's something going on with Adam. Like he's got. Like, I think there's something in your life that you were, like, something analogous to something like that. I thought we started to hit on it. What's going on over there again? Adam, you made there's something going on with your personal life.
There's clearly something going on. But yeah, that's what I get into.
Clearly.
Into that theme.
He just bought a hot tub.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what's going on over here.
Yeah, hot tub, baby.
For the bitches?
So what'll happen is like the guy will come in to install the hot tub, but he'll end up having to murder somebody because of the guy. It's going to open up a whole film noir plot.
I actually came up with a film noir plot, Coen Brothers movie plot based on the bingo game in my workplace. There's a long-standing conspiracy theory that the bingo game that we play for a coffee shop gift card is rigged and has been rigged for years. And so I came up with this whole plot whereby the boss, the guy who's sort of rigging the game and telling the executive assistant who should win each week, ends up getting in a position where he might get busted. And he's, spent all of his money, buying big houses and fancy cars and, living very extravagantly and beyond his means. And this is horrible. Why am I doing this? I just realized, I'm like, wow, this is going to be funny to like two people.
You work at a coffee shop?
None of them are currently on the line.
Dave, you work in a coffee shop?
Ever listen?
You work in a coffee shop, Dave?
No, I don't work in a coffee shop, but no, I work for a medical.
Where do you work that has bingo?
We do this like bingo game. It's a medical company. We make medical equipment.
Okay, so you do have a job.
Yes.
Okay, so the writing was just supplemental, or it was.
Well, I was doing it like as my thing for a short time, and then discovered there's no money in it. So yeah.
Yeah, but you're still writing. You wrote this.
There's like painful like money that you can make by like doing things that make you want to die. And,
right.
And trying to like undercut Chinese prisoners for their prices. So yeah, I mean, if you want to do that,
you have children and you're doing what you have to do to feed them.
Absolutely.
But you are still writing.
No, not really.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but going back to tying it into Cormac McCarthy, as I was watching this film, I was really upset that I had not read No Country for Old Men. Is it a novel? Is it a short story? What is it? I've only read The Road twice.
It's a novel.
It's an entire novel. Because I got to tell you something. It really feels to me that if I was Cormac McCarthy and I was sitting in a theater and I was watching this film adaptation of my novel, I would be sitting there so rock hard watching these actors, watching these scenes that are bone chilling. This fucking movie was sawing into my flesh. I couldn't believe it. And I've seen it, like I said, I've seen it a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But for some reason, watching it with a heightened focus, I was gripped to my.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I couldn't move.
Yeah, I don't know about anyone else, but when I first saw this film, it was one of those films that I watched and then watched again the next day. Like, when I first saw it, I saw it. Somebody had gotten me a for your consideration copy, so I kind of saw it in between. I didn't see it in the theater, stupidly, but I'd seen it in between its theater run and its release on DVD. And somebody gave me the copy. I watched it at nighttime, went to sleep, woke up, and I'm like, I'm putting it on again.
It's so open, man, and that's why we were talking during Pretty Horses about that film's failure to capture the spirit of McCarthy's writing. But these guys captured the tone and the speed, like that thing that you can't quite put your finger on in McCarthy, like perfectly.
Right.
And the funny thing is that when you watch the film, you can watch it a million times and you can feel like you never quite put your finger on exactly what it means. So like I saw it once in the theater and then it compelled me to go and read the book. And I've always been like, all right, it's unsettling to me, that film. So I'm going to go and read the book. And then the book is just, they got it almost to a T, where
amazing.
you have that spirit where it's like, it's about grand things that are like more forceful and impossible to put a frame around or to describe with any sort of accuracy or concretely. And both the film, to me anyway, the film and the book, just they just capture that so brilliantly.
Well,
It's just,
two things. One thing I want to point out quickly is that the book was only published 2 years before the Coen brothers made the film, which is interesting. But Joe, I mean, the Coen brothers are, super well known for their screenplays, their dialogue, their original screenplays. And this,
they've only adapted the Odyssey. Homer's The Odyssey for the Oh Brother Where Art Thou before.
Yeah, right.
That was the only other film that they use, that they had a book that
but still they're taking
they did Lady
liberties.
Killers, which was based on a French.
Oh, that's right. Based on another film.
I'll tell you, if there's, and I don't know about anyone else here. I mean, that to me is just like one film that I just could not get in. That I could not get into that. That and Intolerable Cruelty are just two movies I
agree with you, Tom.
I couldn't.
I like Intolerable Cruelty. Yeah. I agree with you on the Lady Killers. But let me tell, who was talking about? You guys were talking before about the similarity between the evil Bardem's character and some of the other characters in his book. In their films, and that's a real eye opener, because it's something that is really obvious, and I'm so dumb not to have picked it up, but this book has that evil incarnate character who's operating from a different plane.
Yes.
And it's so obvious that they have that same character over and over again, like in Raising Arizona, like you guys were saying. It's almost like this book was friggin' written for them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's clear why they chose that as their source material, which is something that we were just saying they don't often do. So because it does the character is evil personified in a way that they have often done in the past.
Absolutely.
And they so seamlessly inject comedy into their most serious dramatic works.
Exactly.
Nothing makes me laugh harder. I laughed so hard I had to fucking pause when Llewellyn Moss wakes up in Mexico and he's bleeding and he's gaping and gushing and he's defeated and he's broken, and the mariachi band is so happy and so excited, and they're playing with all this beautiful gusto, and the minute they realize that this is a severely battered dude, the deflation in each member's face, it's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
And all those side characters, you're talking about the mobile home dump, and the guy, I don't know where the fuck they find these people. And it was the same thing in Fargo, which Fargo for me is their finest hour and probably always will be. I can't imagine anything better than Fargo. But my God, I don't know where the hell they find those people. They can't be actors.
I know, and they're writing. But here's the thing: that like in Fargo, they're writing these characters, and it's so funny because like I remember having a conversation with Joe, our friend Joe Taverny, Christiana, a long time ago. We were sitting around watching Raising Arizona, and him and I were like enamored like by the M. Emmett Walsh character, at the beginning, that's talking about a spherical object that's resting on the side of a highway.
Resting in the middle of the highway.
Exactly. And him and
a sandwich in one hand and his fucking head in the other.
And him and I are like, we're like 19, 20 years old, and we're interested in movies, and we're trying to, just understand film to its fullest. And we're both like, where does something like this come from? Where does a character like this come from? And why is this character who's only in the movie for like 25 seconds so friggin' powerful? And I remember Joe Taverny saying to me, he's like, they just got to know somebody that's like that, and they just remember them, and they inject them into all these pieces. And they have to be so aware. Like, because Max is talking about, like, just how great Sam Elliott is because of the way his mustache is. It's like their eyes are just so wide open, possibly, to, like, every detail in humans, everything. Their manner of speech, the way they look, just everything. I mean, it's just something that's so extraordinary.
Well, they definitely have a faculty of play, like it just seems like they have a lot of fun doing it. So they never take it too seriously that they forget that this is all, it's play. Like art making, filmmaking, it's playing, so you go and you amuse yourself. And when you're doing it with somebody who, like, like your brother, you usually come up with something that's really loose and fun, really vivid,
right.
And a lot of fun,
right.
A product of play,
I mean, go on, Max.
No, I was going to ask if you guys ever saw a film called The Last Burial of Melquiades Estrada.
Oh, so good. Such a great film.
No, what's that?
That's one of those films where, like, Tom had that experience where he watched No Country and then had to watch it the next day. I watched that film in the afternoon, and at night I had to show my wife, and I forced her to sit down and watch it.
Did you and I watch that together, Max?
Yes, we did, dude.
And
at the end of it, my wife's like, "Okay," and it was like, "No, but don't you?"
That's the worst.
You guys, that film is the companion piece, because I got to tell you something. The ending of No Country puts me in a depression every time.
Yeah.
Because Tommy Lee really never gets his man. And how great is it? How great is it that Llewellyn Moss's death is so just like a true crime scene? It doesn't even fucking matter anymore.
Yeah.
You get him in that last moment where he's talking with that random chick by the pool, and he basically says that, there was that finality in that scene, and then the next time he's playing dead.
Dude, what
You've got explosions of violence that are so Coen-esque and so exhilarating and just unsettling, and then you've got that, and they really navigate the waters there with the violence. It's so cool.
His decision, I mean, he decided to spend time with that lady, right?
That's what they lead you to believe.
That's what I'm saying, and it makes sense of with what you say, Adam, about decisions and deciding your fate and all that. Because if he ignores that, he's probably sharper and maybe escapes that.
Yep.
And instead, beer led to more beer, which, means you're not as sharp. So, I mean, yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting.
Some other people who break the code in the movie as well are the drug cartel guys, who presumably have Sugar hired to go and get the stuff. They also had another group of guys, and those are the guys who got Llewellyn. Right. And Sugar even mentions you get the right tool for the job.
Right.
You need one tool for the job.
Right.
That's it. Absolutely.
And Max, I'm so this. There's constant comedy in No Country for constant comedy. I mean, in almost every scene, there's something.
You guys, the map of the motel, trying to figure out which room with that lady behind the desk. it's just
Brilliant.
comedy gold.
Yeah.
And you see the Coen brothers sitting there snickering. They have blown so many of their own takes, they've admitted, because they've been snickering.
I am sure. Like, just I listen, guys. I cannot. Every time I watch this movie, I am literally gut wrenching laughing at, like, when the guy goes, "You mind riding, bitch?" and then the next shot you just see Shigar sitting in the middle.
It's great. It's great.
It's ridiculous. And then he gets out of the truck and they start investigating the scene. And Shigar's like, "You got a Scroogey?" It's just so stupid. Like, but just that's the shot of him just sitting in between these two schmucks, this cold-blooded psychopath with that stupid haircut.
Brilliant.
Sitting in the middle. But hey, guys, I mean, the Coen brothers and Max, I love the fact that you hit it on the head with the comedy, because it's in Fargo. Fargo is a deeply dark, disturbing movie, but each and every scene there's something to laugh at.
I actually consider Fargo a comedy, a dark comedy,
Yeah.
if I had to give it a genre.
Yeah, I mean, is there a movie that these guys made where they've ever just left comedy out? I mean, no, right? I mean, it's
No. You know what's a really underrated film of theirs is Burn Notice.
Oh, Burn After Reading.
Burn After Reading. I'm sorry.
Oh, listen, I hail
Sure.
Burn After Reading as a better comedy, or I find Burn After Reading. Let me put it to you this way: I find Burn After Reading funnier than The Big Lebowski.
No.
I don't know about
I don't know about that. It's a great film.
It is a great film. I do enjoy it.
That's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it is,
Hey,
and
Tom,
that's
is
all
that
it is.
based on a book, Burn After Reading?
No,
Burn
I
Notice.
don't think so. I think that's an original screenplay, Max.
Wow. Then they'll just come up with their own shit and.
It was based on I believe it was based on an actual situation.
An article?
Where, yeah, like a news story or something where some maniac went in and, geez, I can't speak about it in too much depth, but it was something about someone going into the Russian embassy thinking they had spy information or something like that, from what I understand.
The Russians?
Hey, Adam, I cut you off there.
I don't remember what I was saying.
Yeah.
I do that all the time to him. All right.
Hey, guys, we are talking Cormac
He'll
McCarthy.
get on a run, and then all of a sudden he'll just become a dim bulb.
No, I don't. I might have been saying some. What movie? Melquiades Estrada.
Oh, by the way, that
by the
sounds
way,
like,
guys,
but the
if you
title of
haven't-
I'm sorry.
if you haven't seen that movie, you need to see it. And Max, didn't Tommy Lee Jones direct that film as well?
That's correct. He directed that film. He plays a border sheriff, and Lee Von Helm plays a very blind man. And Barry Pepper delivers the performance
Of all
of
people.
his lifetime.
I like Barry Pepper.
Yeah, he's great.
The great.
Yeah, hey, Adam, he's awesome as
Awesome
Roger
as Battlefield Earth.
Maris.
Oh, in 61.
Yeah, he's great in that. What's the name of that movie that was directed by Tommy Lee Jones, Max? That you're recommending?
The Three Burials of Melquiades Estrada.
Why does it sound like a movie that Billy Barrasso would assign everyone?
Wow.
Why is it Billy on this show? Yeah, guys. Sometimes I just take off some of the shows. Can't really be bothered.
Listen to who's talking. This guy, he's like, I don't like that movie. I can't get to it. I'm very busy, but let me take pictures of myself while I'm. What's he been up to on Facebook? I can only.
Any pictures of myself?
Joe, one of these days we're gonna have to dedicate like a whole segment just scrolling down Max.
We really should.
Max's wall and just examining and discussing every little detail of his life.
Yeah, what time should I come on?
Look-
Can you guys tell me when you're done talking about the thing that I find
Yeah,
boring?
Here's
Because
Max's wall. Like the first thing you see is like a picture of like a left-handed black glove laying on the side of the street.
I have no time to watch any of the pretty because I need to photograph.
Dogs, I find a black glove on the sidewalk. I take a picture of it. It doesn't.
Yeah.
take
And then write like a 10-paragraph assessment.
I'm
of it.
multing. It's not 10 paragraphs. Now listen. Can I tell a Stephen Root story?
Oh, please do.
I wish you would.
Yeah, we'll be quiet for that one, Max. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm not being braggadocious, as Gramps would say, but I have had the honor of working with Steven many times in the booth on Kung Fu Panda, and he's an extremely sweet, down to earth dude, but he's a little eccentric. And one time he came in, and there was a stool next to his setup, with the mic and the headphones and everything, and he lays out about. Speaking of vitamins, as we were earlier, he lays out about 38 vitamins on this. Pulls them out of his pocket, and they don't even come in a bag. There's multicolors. There's gelatinous ones. There's big horsey ones. There's just a lot of pills. I'm like, Stephen, what is all that? Oh, my wife likes to keep it's on this program with the vitamins.
Dude, he didn't say vitamins.
He did not. And he just started to pound one vitamin after the next.
Oh, my God.
He's working his way through the biggest pile of vitamins you've ever seen.
I recall you texting me as that was happening. I was getting real-time Stephen Root updates.
Yeah, why are you taking pictures of random left-handed black gloves and not pictures of the vitamins?
The vitamins. I did take a picture with Stephen. It's on Facebook.
He's a heavy guy, right?
No, he's lost some weight. I think he lost it working amongst gay people on True Blood.
Oh.
Probably that program his wife has him on.
He's on like every show on HBO.
He's on everything.
Yeah, he's on Boardwalk Empire. He was on the Newsroom. He's just
good for Stephen.
Yeah,
good.
He's popping up everywhere.
Although his best work has got to be either Office Space or as the voice of Bill Dauterive on King of the Hill.
Thank you.
I love Office Space, Adam.
That's a great point about the Coens. Their Americana is just is glorious. Hey guys, let me ask you something. If we were going to be critical at all about the film version of No Country, would it be that around the third act it begins to kind of, I don't know, dissipate a little bit, kind of disconnect a little bit?
I don't think so. Can I answer that question first, Joe? I know what you're saying, and I hear this a lot. And I've always said that if the film ended when right after the car accident and like Anton Chigurh started to walk away, and then they cued like some kind of like Creedence Clearwater Revival song or something, and the credits started to roll, like people would love that ending, but that ending with Tommy Lee Jones talking to his wife, it's a little bit different. It's it's kind of cuts
what
out
was
of
that brother in the wheelchair.
Oh, Barry Corbin, right?
It was Barry Corbin, Uncle Bob.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Uncle Bob from Urban Cowboy,
or the General from War Games.
So he's still kicking. I always thought he died when Uncle Bob died.
No, he's rolling still.
So
he was a regular in Northern Exposure too. That series.
That's right.
Corbin
so do you
was?
think that's the scene about disappointment in Tommy Lee with the brother, the older brother?
That's my favorite scene in the whole movie, I think.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Max, going to your point is like directly related to what Dave was sort of talking about in his review. Was like, I thought it was a flaw as well. Like the first time, it's unsettling because you're following this cat and mouse game for so long. It's such a staple of cinema, and you're so familiar with it. And the Coen brothers do it so well, like so masterfully. But then all of a sudden, it kind of shifts gears, and it feels awkward or like a weird shifting when it goes back to the Tommy Lee story. It becomes evident again that this film isn't about that cat and mouse story. It's above that. It's above
it, yeah.
It's above Llewellyn, and it's above Woody Harrelson's what's his name,
Carson Wells, yeah.
Carson Wells. It's above that's just the pawns playing out their thing, and Tommy Lee and Chigurh are operating on a higher level. You know what I mean? So the film's not about, but it is weird, man. In both the book and the film, it's a tricky shift, man. It's offsetting. It's unsettling.
Joe,
it was unsettling to me the first time I saw it.
And Joe, you two things. One, you're absolutely right about the Sheriff Bell character just being above everything. I think the only thing that he is not above throughout the whole movie is the mobile home clerk, the lady. I don't think he's above.
She may be playing the god in that movie.
I don't think he's above her. And secondly, guys, I just want everyone to point out that I want to point out to everyone that